Hi, good morning everyone. So welcome to our subject, Programming Languages. And today we're going to discuss Chapter 1, the concept of programming languages or the principles of programming languages. So class, before we continue our discussion, let us discuss to you first what are the things that you should be able to learn in our subject. So in this topic for today, you student should be able to explain the reasons of studying concept of programming languages. Aside from that, in this lesson also, you will identify what are the criteria in evaluating language design. So another thing is you should differentiate the programming domains. So later we're going to discuss it and you will know what are those things with regards to programming domain. And last, so you students should be able to explain the primary influences on language design, common design trade-offs, and what are the basic approaches to implementation. So additional to this is, I think I included in the topic, so what are the programming environments? So that is the last part of the topic that I am going to discuss today. Okay, so are you ready, class? So if you're ready, please bear in mind and please watch this video and listen to our discussion so that you will answer some questions or practice questions that I'm going to include in the last part of this video or the last part of this discussion. So now, let's start. Okay, so let us start our discussion. So my question is, why do we need to study programming languages? So, bakit nga ba? Bakit ba natin kailangan? Sabi nga, although marunong na tayo mag-program, kaya natin gumawa ng isang system, kaya lang, do we ask ourselves, what is my reason? Or what are my reasons why I need to study this? So class, for that, so these are the reasons why we need to study programming languages. So as you can see with our slide, so these are the things that these are the reasons why you need to study or why we need to study programming languages. So first reason is to increase capacity or to increase our ability to express ideas. So same as the normal way as we communicate to each other, do we express our ideas clearly? So in programming language, it is important that you have the ability to express your ideas, most especially in the designing of a system, in designing of a game, or designing of any application that you applied in day-to-day activities. So according to this, language influences and limits one's ability to express ideas because people tend to think in a language. So many students, for example, have difficulties because they don't yet know the programming language well, or they don't know the programming language well enough to know what it can do. So we do not know ano ba yung kayang gawin of this programming language. So to express our ability regarding with the different ideas that we have in making program, so we need to express it clearly, express it without difficulty, so that you can make your program better, ika nga. Okay? So, what is the second one? Okay. Improve or increase our capacity to use different construct in writing programs. Okay? So, if you know a hammer, if you know how to use a hammer, so the only thing we know is you use hammer to put nail in any what do you call that, anything that you want to combine, so you want to fix, so ginagamit natin yung hammer para may pokpok natin yung pako, yun yung gamit ng hammer. So in this reason, we need to have a broad knowledge, we have to have you need to have a broad ideas or broad techniques in writing programs. So that is the second reason, to increase our capacity to use different construct in writing programs. The third one is it enables us to choose languages for projects more intelligently. Okay? More intelligently. Okay. So of course, you need to be intelligent in making a program, because you cannot make a good design, or you cannot make a good output if you didn't make it intelligently, or you didn't do your programming intelligently. Okay? So every programming language has its own use, in different areas. Let's say, for example, PHP, do you know what's PHP? So PHP is used to make a website. Let's say, for example, that you can never use PHP with other areas like scientific application, system development. So it is not possible to use it. It is not suited to that area. So if you want to make a system design or system software, so what is the best programming language you're going to use? So example of that is C. C is the best programming language to make a system software, or to make a system application. So that is the use of programming languages. We need to know it, no? You do not need to apply it, apply, but you do not know where you're going to use that program. You know the program, but the problem is you do not know where to use it. Okay? Is that clear? Okay, so if it is clear, let us move on to the next one. So it makes learning new languages easier. So if you have a lot of ideas na, okay, you can express now, you can construct different programs na using different programming language. At the same time, you know how to use it. So definitely, it is easier for you to learn new languages. So class, programming languages is not a static principle wherein the programming language before is the same with the programming language we have now. So it evolves, no? It evolves, no? As time passes by, programming language are getting more easier to use rather than the programming language before. So we all know that yung mga unang languages, it is a command-based program, no? Pag sinabi mong command-based program or yung ginagamit nating anong tawag doon, yung ginagamitan natin ng MS-DOS dati para makapag-create ka lang ng program. Okay? So, command line interpreter, gumagamit pa tayo ng command line interpreter by the time. So now programming languages are more easier, more challenging to use, at the same time more easier to use because programming language nowadays are GUI type or graphical user interface type na, wherein you just do drag and drop, no? Drag and drop ka na lang ng mga commands and little typing na lang ng mga commands ang ginagawa natin. So ganun sa ngayon, no? Kaya you are lucky because you can now do program easier and better at the same time enjoyable. Okay? So now let us move on to the next reason. So better understanding of significance of implementation. So we need to understand, or we need to have a better understanding what are the importance of different programming languages. So you can easily fix bugs if ever, kung meron man, no? So easy na yung pag-fix ng bug kasi definitely mas madali nang ma-identify yung mga problem or error na meron sa program. Okay? So that is the fifth one. Okay? Let us move on to number 6. So better use of languages that are already known. Yes, that's right. So, if you are not familiar with other languages, don't use it. Ano? Huwag mo munang gamitin. So, you need to master it. You need to practice using it. No? If you are better now in that language, so use it na. But, if you do not have an idea first, so use the better language that you mastered rather than using new languages which are new for you, no? So that is the number 6. So number 7 is overall advancement of computing. So what does it mean? So if you have all the if those reasons from the first up to the 6th ay okay na, no? Naintindihan na natin, Then, let us have number 7. Overall advancement of computing. So what does it mean? If you say overall advancement of computing, if programmers had a greater knowledge of programming language concept, the software industry would do a better job of adapting languages based upon the merits rather than upon political and other forces. Despite being superior to Fortran, let's say for example, so you need to know also what is the use of different languages. You need to be advanced, no? So that kung saan ka man dalhin, let's say for example sa trabaho, so you can adapt, no? Kasi advance yung knowledge mo advance yung intelligence mo when it comes to use ng program. Okay? At kung anong programming language ang gagamitin mo. Okay? So, do you understand that? So, if you understand it, let us now move on to the next one. Okay? So, just comment down your question if you have questions. No? Paki-comment na lang. At paki-state ng iyong name and then comment mo. If you have questions, just write it there sa comment section. Okay? So, maliwanag? Is it clear? So, if it is clear, let us now move on. Okay. So, aside from understanding what are the reasons of studying programming language, so we have here the next topic, which is all about language evaluation criteria. So, some of the language criteria to evaluate a programming language are: first, readability; second, writability; third, reliability; fourth, cost; fifth, generality; sixth, extensibility; seventh, standardability; and last, support for internationalization. Okay? So, support for internationalization. Okay. So, let's start with the first one. The first criteria, that is readability. Okay. So, readability, coding should be simple and clear to understand. That's right. How you would read a program if it is not simple, at the same time it is not clear to understand. So tell me, class, kung hindi mo naiintindihan yung isang programming language, so papasa ka ba sa ganitong criteria? Siyempre hindi, no? That's why we need to have that coding should be simple and clear to understand. So what is simplicity? Should not involve complex syntax, many ways to perform a single task, overloading of methods and operator, etc. So question is, based dun sa different programming language na na-encounter nyo na, do you think that they pass this criteria? So please comment down below kung meron naisip nyo na pumasa ba yung programming language na ginamit mo pagdating dito sa criteria ito, no? Readability. So, yung under nyan is simplicity, orthogonality, control statements, data types, and structure. So, simplicity should not involve complex syntax. So, how it will become simple if the syntax is so complex? So, difficult to understand. So, hindi siya pasok sa ating criteria. How about orthogonality? This means relatively small set of primitive construct can be combined. So, for example, integer times count, no? Or asterisk count. Here, pointer and integer is combined. So, another example, integer count 5. Here, array pointer is combined. So, as you can see, so different style of program, but definitely the concept is the same or mutual. Okay? So, it must be like that then, ano, para pumasok siya sa ating criteria. So, the next one is control statement. There should be adequate control statement. So, to make it, no, use loops, while loop, do while loop is adequate. Using of go statements causes poor readability. So, as we go along with our subject, our topic, so more understanding of this, ano? Next, data type and structures. Language should involve adequate facilities for defining data types and data structure. So that's right, no? So we need to have an adequate facilities for defining data types and data structure. For example, timeout is equal to 1 is unclear as compared to timeout is equal to true. Diba? Look at the difference. Timeout is equal to 1. So, unclear siya because you are pertaining to timeout is equal to true. Okay? So, mas understandable yung timeout is equal to true rather than timeout is equal to 1. So, this is the first criteria. So, let us now move on to the next criteria. It's number 5. Okay, may number 5 pa pala. Syntax. So, it is important also as part of readability, the syntax. So, syntax design affects the readability in the following way. Yung paggamit natin ng identifier forms. So, restriction to very short length of identifier is a barrier to readability. And also the use of special words. Special words like while, for, class, int affects the readability of any languages. If special words are allowed to be variable names, then it will become confusing. So that's right. No? So you need to put in your mind these things, about readability, about the first criteria. So let us now move on to the second criteria, and this is writability. So what is writability? Writability is a measure of how easily language can be used to code. Most of the language characteristics that affect readability also affect writability. So, magkadugtong na yan. Kung ang language mo may problema pagdating sa readability, so definitely, it affects also writability. So, same with the concept of readability. So, ito rin yung mga concept na meron ang writability. Yung simplicity, orthogonality, support for abstraction, expressivity, yan. Isa-isahin natin yan. So, simplicity, alam na natin. So, it should not involve complex syntax. So, hindi dapat difficult yung syntax na ginagamit. No? Orthogonality, this means relatively small set of primitive constructs can be combined. Again, no? So, pwede mo nang pagsamahin, yung pointer at yung integer, para ma-meet mo yung criteria na to. Support for abstraction. Language should support process and data abstraction. That's right. Kasi kung hindi tayo magkakaroon ng ganitong klaseng support, so your program will be too much longer. No? So magiging sobrang haba ng iyong code, ng iyong ita-type na code kung walang ganito, no, yung abstraction. Literal na meaning abstract, 'di ba? Mas pinapaikli natin, sometimes symbol na lang para yung long ideas ay makuha na lang natin sa maliit na structure or sa isang sa maiksing word lang, no? So the fourth one is expressivity. So mali yung aking numbering. In less line of codes or less lines of code, program should be writable. Yeah, that's right. For example, for a statement, makes counting loops easier than while. Yes. Another example is, I++ is more expressive than I is equal to 1 plus 1. Counter yan, no? Counter yung yan. Di ba? Tingnan mo yung pagkakaiba. I++ is more expressive than I is equal to I plus 1. Pero ilang lang. So, 3 character lang yung ginamit. Dito sa kabila, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, nakaless ka ng 2 character. So, mas maikli yung tinype mo. Pero, same meaning. Okay? So, next. The third criteria is reliability. So, this is important, class. No? Your program must be reliable if it performs to its specifications under all conditions. So, what are the concepts behind this? Reliability. Type checking. It is testing for type error, either or compile or runtime. So, yan. Example of that is float percentage. Is more desirable as compared to int percentage. So, alam niyo na yung pagkakaiba ng integer at float. Okay? Pag integer, that is a whole number. Pag float, that is a number having decimal place. No? Not exact ka nga. So, another concept of reliability is exception handling. It is the ability of program to handle runtime error. So, meron bang programming language na walang ganito? Remember, handling runtime error are more expensive than compile error. That's right. Okay. The third one is aliasing. It is a memory location variable having more than one name, which is causes confusion. Yan. So we use this aliasing in some of the programming language. For example, Python. So I think Java, C, magamit ng ganyan, aliasing. Okay, readability. Alam naman natin yung readability na discuss na sa taas. Readability influences reliability and also writability influences reliability. So, kaya nga sila ay criteria eh. Ibig sabihin, they are connected into one another. So, these are the criteria that must be used to know if a programming language is good to use. Okay? Number 4, cost. This is the third criteria, cost. Total cost of programming should be minimum. Okay? Cost of trainer, cost of writing algorithm, cost of compiling program in the language, cost of hardware required for program, and cost of maintenance. But to tell you frankly, student, so cost is not an issue if we talk about criteria in different criteria in language evaluation. Why? Definitely, cost is not an issue because it is not hindi naman siya pertaining to the program itself eh. It involves money, right? Magkano yung nagastos mo dito, magkano yung ginamit mo dito sa programming na to. Okay? So nagkakaiba-iba siya kasi depende yan sa knowledge mo pagdating do sa program, no? Meron mga programming language na magastos talaga, no? Meron mga programming language na lessen yung cost. Kaya nga, it depends upon the programming language yung ating cost. Okay? So next, ayan, kita nyo naman kung ano yung mga pwedeng gastusan. So, example na lang, cost of trainer. So, definitely, pag may trainer ka na, babayad ka. Mahal yan. Okay? Cost of writing algorithm. Yung algorithm, kasi mag-iisip ka pa, iisipin mo pa, how does this program goes? No? Yung flow ng program, iisipin mo. Okay? Yung compilation ng program, sometimes, it's long. Long yung time ng compilation. Ay, syempre, yung hardware requirements. Kasi definitely, there are lots of programming language that requires this. Yung hardware. Yung ating PC na gagamitin. Sabi nga, ito yung tinatawag nating compatibility issue. Kaya pag bumili ka ng software or programming language, laging meron niyang nakasamang hardware requirements. So, from that, dun lang siya pwedeng gumana. Okay? Kung hindi siya supported ng hardware na yan, so definitely, it will not be useful. Okay? At ang pinakamabigat doon, yung maintenance. No? Kailangan din natin yan. Okay? But that's not, hindi naman siya typical na sa program mismo. Yung sa design ng program. Ito pertains to money involved. Next. Ito yung mga additional na lang. Generality. Language should not be limited to specific application only. Yes, that's right. Okay. So, it can be supported by different application. Extensibility should be flexible. Must be able to add new construct. Ayan pa, isa pa rin yan. No? Ayan ay mga additional na to sa mga bagong programming language. And of course, standardability, language should be platform independent. Okay? So, kahit saan mo siya gamitin, kailangan siya ay maging independent. At, sabi nga, adaptable to any hardware. Okay? Any platform. Number 8, support for internationalization. Various formats like time, date, currency, etc. should be supportable. Okay? Kasi pag pumupunta ka sa ibang lugar na, definitely magkakaiba na yan ng oras, magkaiba ng date, magkaiba ng currency. So it must be supporting that, Okay? So is that clear? So if you have questions regarding the language evaluation criteria, you can comment down below, and I will see to it that I will answer it. Comment nyo lang sa ating comment section. So let us now move on. What are the things that influences on language design? So first and foremost, as you can see that the figure, the illustrations, so we have the computer architecture. Okay? So literally in mind, what is computer architecture? Physical component. How about virtual machine? Yan. And also programming methodologies. So why it is been told that these are the things that influences language design? Paano sila nakaka-impluwensya sa ating programming language? So let us continue. Okay, so as you can see, this is a von Neumann architecture wherein pinapakita niya dito how does program being compiled in our computer system. Okay? Ano ba tayo niyan? So, wait a minute. Nawala ata. Methodologies. Evaluation criteria. Okay, so these are the things that influences language design. So first is computer architecture. Okay, so this illustration shows a computer architecture, but it is based on von Neumann architecture. So as you can see, we have here the memory, the central processing unit, the arithmetic and logic unit, control unit. So because the two are part of the central processing unit, now the arithmetic, logic unit, and the control unit. And also there's an arrow going to connection to input-output devices. So of course, in processing, internal processing na to sa ating computer architecture, wherein the data or the instruction of the data are being saved in the memory, or kung tawagin natin ay RAM, Random Access Memory. Then, after that, sa memory, so it will pass through the central processing unit. So, these two are the most commonly part of the computer system that are communicating always. No? So, all of the data that we input or we command with our computer are being passed through the memory first. And then, after that, it will pass through the central processing unit for processing. Kung ano man yung command mo doon, then, pagdating sa central processing unit, so yun ang ipe-perform niya. Meron dalawang part dyan, yung arithmetic, logic unit, and control unit. So, it pertains to computation, yung arithmetic and logic unit. At the same time, control unit is the one who makes the flows of exchange of information from memory to central processing unit more smooth, ika nga. Ano? So, pag natapos this central processing unit, sometimes it will pass through again to the memory for storing. Kaya sabi diyan, result of processing. And then after that, kung halimbawa, nag-request naman nag-command naman ng na humingi siya ng output, so dito sa input-output device naman siya pupunta. So this is the typical computer system process that we have even nowadays. Ano? Sabi nga, nag-start siya by 1950s, the basic architecture of digital computers had been established and described nicely in von Neumann Edbach report. A computer machine is reflection of its architecture with its assembly language, adding a thin layer of abstraction for the purpose of making easier the task of programming. So yan yun. So then in 1977, specifically in his Turing Award lecture with the corresponding paper appearing on Jan Backus, famous leading the team who designed implemented Fortran, Harsley can be programming liberated from von Neumann style, set forth of an FP, functional programming system, which is viewed as being superior style of programming. He also challenged the field to develop an architecture well suited to this style of programming. So definitely, magkakaibang programming language, may kanya-kanyang architecture na requirements. Okay? So that's it for programming architecture. Next. So computer architecture is based on von Neumann, and it's also affected by the architecture of computer. But how? This is the question we'll see here. When we deploy run programs, it resides in memory and executed by the CPU. So there are registers like program counter, instruction register, etc. Each instruction going from memory to CPU is decided by program counter, and program counter get instruction info from instruction register. In this way, a program developed in languages passes through this kind of cycle which affect the execution time of the language. If system is a multi-user, it will consume lot of time. So that's it. Okay? So what is the next? Virtual, programming methodologies. So programming methodologies, here, as you can see, these are the different methodologies we have in different programming design. We have the structured, data-oriented, procedure-oriented, object-oriented programming. Okay? So, what are the difference of these programming methodologies? So, structured programming, these programming are also called top-down. Top-down yun ha, hindi top-on. Top-down design and stepwise refinement. Its deficiency was incompleteness of type of checking and inadequacy of control statement, which requires extensive use of go-to statement. So, example nito is C language. Okay? Meron pa yung una, Pascal. Yan. Yung mga structured programming. May steps na pinapollow. No? May sinusunod na steps. Okay? So, anyway, yan yung mga naunang programming language that basically naging useful naman pagdating sa iba't ibang company. No? Ginamit nila yung system. Okay, the next one is data-oriented programming. So, it focuses on data-oriented methods, emphasize data design, focusing on the use of abstract data types to solve the problem. Example is Simula. Okay? Kaya sinabing data-oriented because more on focus yung type ng program niya sa data. No? Sa data design, yan. Focusing on use of abstract data types. Okay? Then, procedure-oriented programming. This is the opposite of data-oriented programming. Example, C#. Yan. Procedural. Ibig sabihin ay, kung yung isa is structured, ito naman, it follows different procedure. Okay? So, next, object-oriented programming. So, what is this object-oriented programming? It gives support for data abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism. Example, C++. So, as we go along, we're going to discuss this data abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism. Kaya siya sinabing object-oriented programming because kung yung data-oriented focus on data, these methodologies focus on or focus more on object. Okay? So, is that clear? Let us now move on. Okay, virtual machine, the third criteria, the third programming environments. Virtual machine. So, what is this virtual machine? Virtual machine are software on which other software can be executed as they are executing on a physical machine. So, there are two types of virtual machine: the application or process virtual machine and the system or hardware virtual machine. So, what is the difference of the two? Application process virtual machine. In this, we can take example of JVM. Because JVM, Java is a platform independent language. Pag JVM means Java Virtual Machine. Take note, JVM means Java Virtual Machine. So, Java program or Java platform use this Java Virtual Machine to produce output. Para ma-run mo yung Java program mo, kailangan mo ng JVM. While the system or hardware virtual machine, in this, we can take sample of VirtualBox, which gives us ability to run multiple of operating systems on a single physical machine. Here, operating system is also a programming language which should be supported by VirtualBox. So, kung hindi nyo pa na-encounter si VirtualBox, so we use it to use 2 or more operating system in one computer hardware. Okay? Pwede kang gumamit ng 2 operating system sa iisang machine gamit ang VirtualBox. Okay, is that clear? So, ulitin natin, what are the programming environments? What are the things that influences language design? So, computer architecture, virtual machine, programming, methodologies. So, yung tatlong yon, no? Take note of that. So, let us now move on to the next topic. Our next topic is about language categories. So, what are the different language categories that we have? So, akala nga natin, programming language just like that. But definitely, it covers a lot of areas, covers a lot of ideas. Okay? Let us now move on. What are these categories? First, yan. Numerical-based languages. Yan. So, large numbers of floating points computation, use of arrays computing mathematical expressions. Example niyan, Fortran, Algol, Pascal, EL1 or Programming Language 1, Basic, C, C++. So, they are numerically based languages. Pagdating sa scientific, scientific computation, yan, scientific application, we use that programming language. How about business languages? Produce reports, use decimal numbers and characters, most especially in accounting firms. So, example ng programming language that we use here is COBOL, or Common Business Oriented Language, or English-like notation. But by this time, yan yung mga old programming language. So, by this time, class, there are lots of programming language that can be used also, same as COBOL, no? So, kung hindi kayo familiar diyan, kasi yung mga unang nag-aral ng computer science ay talagang naggumamit na yan, ano? Hindi ko na nga lang inabot, pero I think meron kaming kabatch na pinag-aralan pa yung COBOL, yung dating Office Management with Computer na course sa atin. So, nag-COBOL sila, no? I have never used COBOL before, no? So, that's it, no? At least alam natin kung saan ba ginamit si COBOL. Next, artificial intelligence languages, okay? So, nowadays, artificial intelligence are spreading na, ano? Almost everywhere. You can encounter that artificial intelligence. Even in your cell phone, there is an artificial intelligence being applied, no? So here, symbols rather than numbers manipulated. Use linked list, tree search, rule-based paradigm or paradigm. Okay? So, example of programming language used here is list or list processing. Then, Prolog, programming in logic. I think I encountered Prolog during my college time, ano? Kaya lang hindi ganun kalalim yung pagkakaintindi ko sa Prolog. At least may background lang kaunti. Okay? So, nowadays, most of the technology are being used this artificial intelligence as part of their system, no? Okay, next is system languages. So, we all know system, like operating system, no? Yung Windows, ano pa yung mga operating Linux, and Macintosh. So, they are operating system. And they are very important. Why? Because before you can use the different application programs, you need to have first this system software as interface to communicate your application program with your hardware. So, need mo si system software. And basically, sa system application or system programming, so these are the different programming languages we can use to create these system languages. C, C++, script languages, AWK, Perl, TCL, or TK. So, I think with regards to familiarity in this programming language, C and C++ lang yung na-encounter nyo. Okay? So now let us move on to the next one. Another categories here is web programming. So this is rampant now, the use of this web programming. Eclectic collection of languages from markup, XHTML, so extensible hypertext markup language, to scripting to general purpose. So take a look at that. HTML, XML, Java, Microsoft, *.NET family. Okay, so as you can see, I think the easiest way to make program is by the use of this, itong mga programming language na to. Mas madali siyang gamitin, mas madaling intindihin kasi it is like an English-like word na to apply compared with the other na medyo may mga pseudocode pa na ginagamit na unfamiliar sa atin. No? So, yun yung about sa web programming. And definitely, you will encounter this, web programming. Okay? So, questions? If you have questions, just comment down below. Okay? Thank you for this part. Okay? Let us now move on with programming paradigm. So, programming paradigm based on programming construction. So, ito yung i-discuss natin doon, yung style of programming. Ika nga. Let us start. So, there are basically 4 programming paradigm in programming languages. Basic na meron tayong 4 na basic. So, we have imperative, functional, logic, and object-oriented programming. So, the rest, yung 3 sa baba, these are just part na nung nasa taas. Pero, sineparate din sila, event-driven, concurrent or parallel programming, and special purpose programming languages. So, let us discuss this. Let us know what are these. So, imperative programming languages, it's also known as procedural languages. So, kanina, nabanggit na yung procedural language. Ito yon, ito yung style niya. An imperative language uses a sequence of statements to determine how to reach a certain goal. Means here, you will get the answer how to do a task, not what to do. Take note. It answers how to do, not what to do. Okay, example in C. Integer A is equal to 4, integer B is equal to 5, integer sum is equal to 0, sum is equal to A plus B. So what is the sum? What is the output? What is the output? So, syempre, in this statement, so wala pa siyang output kasi wala pa naman siyang print line. Pero, based sa program, you just simply add integer A with integer B. Okay? So, from assigning value states variable to final addition of those values, each statement changes the state program using a sequence of 5 statements. The program shows that how to add numbers 4 and 5 yun, hindi 15. Example ng imperative is C and C++. Okay? Take note of that. So, let us now move on to the next paradigm. Sorry. Functional programming languages. It is also known as applicative languages. Functional programming is a form of declarative programming or mathematical functions. Programming consists of building the functions that computes the answer. So there are two types: pure functional languages, wherein it supports only functional paradigm. Example is Haskell. And the next one is impure functional languages. It supports both functional and imperative paradigm. Example is Lisp. Example of functional languages is Lisp, Python, Haskell. Okay. So ano daw ang functional programming language? Applicative languages. Application. Functional is a form of declarative, no? If you want to make a program with the different mathematical functions, you can use this programming language. Ano, yung Python most especially. No, nag-training kami niya nung last month, no? 10 days training Python. Okay, next. Logic programming languages. This type of language, or this type of languages concentrate on what is the expected outcome for the program instead of how the outcome is achieved. Logical programming is something like math. Logic program statements express facts and rules about problems. To understand the rules, let's take an example like A is true if B and C is true. And to understand facts, we can say that A is true. So, example of programming language example of logic language natin is Prolog. So, this is being applied in a neural form of design na program. No? So, logical. Pag siyempre, kaya nga programming logic eh. It's either true or false. It's either no or yes. It's either 1 or 0. So, yun. So, next, object-oriented programming. Okay? Object-oriented programming language based on object. Yan. Katulad ng sinabi kanina, it is more focused on object instead of just function and procedure. It involves concept of OOPS programming languages. So, for example, C++, Java. Okay? Meron naman kayong subject na OOP. The fifth one is event-driven programming languages. These languages are execute various operations based on user activities like mouse click and other events. So, ito yung mga GUI type. Example, Visual Basic at saka Java. So, ito yung drag and drop. Ika nga. Kaya nga sinawag event-driven programming language. Number 6, concurrent or parallel programming languages. They are used to build various distributed programs. Example is SR and Linda. I'm not familiar with this programming language. Basically, if you want to give me some idea about this, just comment down below. Okay? So, thank you for this. Next is special purpose programming language. This programming language are used for special tasks. Okay? Example is SQL, HTML. So, SQL is used to make a database design, and HTML is used to make a web design. Okay? Kaya nga tinawag ng special purpose programming languages. So, these are the 7. Meron pa bang sunod? Okay, sunod na. Okay? So, ulitin natin, what are the different programming paradigm? So, let us have paradigm. Ayan. So, imperative programming languages, functional programming languages, logic programming languages, object-oriented programming languages, event-driven programming languages, concurrent parallel programming languages, and special purpose programming languages. So, yun yung ating different programming language paradigm. So, the next, okay? So, let us know what is compilation. So, compilation is a process to convert a high-level programming language into a machine language that the computer can understand. That's right. So, it comes from the the root word compile, no? So compilation, convert high-level programming language into machine language. So we all know, class, that computer does not understand an English-like word command that we fed over our machine. So the best thing with our machine is there is what you call a interpreter that interprets this English-like word into a machine language using this type of method. Yung tinatawag nating compilation, no? So i-convert niya ngayon si high-level programming, si English-like word language into machine language, no? I-interpret niya ngayon. Kasi kung wala iyan, it will not give us the right output, no? Kung ano yung command ng user, hindi maintindihan ni computer kung wala yan. So kailangan siya para ma-execute ni computer yung gustong mangyari ni user. So yun yung concept ng compilation. Do you understand? So if you understand, let us now move on. Compiler. The software which performs this conversion is called a compiler. Yan yung sinasabi ko sa inyo. So example niyan, mga C++ compiler, no? There are some other C compiler, oh, di ba? Yan. So next, phases of compiler. Ito yung how does the program being compiled sa ating computer system. Process of compilation involves the following stages as shown in diagram: lexical analysis, syntax analysis, semantic analysis, intermediate code generation, and code optimization. Anong ibig sabihin niyang limang yan? So start tayo. Next. Yan. As you can see, this illustration shows yan, the phases of compiler. So from the source program, it will pass through the lexical analyzer. So anong gagawin lexical analyzer? Symbol table manager, error handler. Yan. Pag okay na, it will pass through syntax analyzer but pertaining to the code, no? Symbol table manager, error handler. So pass. Move to semantics analyzer. Ibig sabihin, pertains to the meaning of the syntax. Symbol table, error handler. Okay. So pass through intermediate code generator. Then pass through code optimizer. So code generator and target program. Okay? So ganon yung proseso, no? Hindi natin alam yan. Why? Because we didn't see it. So it happens inside the machine. It happens within the process of the machine. That's why we never understand. The only thing we know is we can get the output by either displaying in the result, no? Din-display niya yung result, kaya natin nakikita yung output. But the thing inside, regarding with the processing, we do not know it. But this is the process. How does the compiler work? Ika nga. Okay, understand? Next. Let us now move on. Ba, nasaan tayo? Wait. Hindi napunta dito. Okay. Okay, so let us discuss one by one. The lexical analyzer. Yan. Lexical analysis. This page scans the program characters by character and group these characters into meaningful words or what you call lexemes. Take note. Scans the program counter. Alam natin pag scans talagang thorough, no? 'Di ba? Character and ginugroup niya yung character niya into meaningful words. Then pass through syntax analysis. This page takes the output of lexical analysis phase as input, then generate the syntax tree or parse tree To check program grammars means syntax should be correct. Yan. Okay. After that, papasa kay semantics analysis. This space checks that in syntax analysis space, syntax tree constructed follows the rules of languages. For example, in x, x should store integer value only. Okay. So, titingnan niya yung kahulugan ng code, kung anong gustong mangyari ng user. Okay, number 4 is intermediate code generation. In this space, intermediate code of source code is generated. This intermediate code is translated into machine language. Yun. Doon palang ima-translate. The number 5, code optimization. In this space, unnecessary code lines are removed from intermediate code generated. Yan. Move tayo. Semantics. Doble. Okay. As you can see, this is a layered view of computer. The operating system language implementation are layered over machine interface of a computer. As you can see, the center or pinakagitna nito is the bare machine, then macro instruction interpreter, operating system, and then itong sumunod na circle is the different compiler, assembler, interpreter na meron tayo, and outside of that is the different programming languages na ginagamit natin. As you can see, ang iba't ibang programming languages here ay may kanya-kanyang ginagamit na interpreter. Let's say, for example, C++, meron siyang C++ compiler. Ang ADA, meron ding ADA compiler, C compiler, Fortran compiler, Lisp. Ang Lisp naman ay may gumagamit siya ng interpreter. Ang virtual assembly language ay gumagamit naman ng assembler. Then, ipapasa ngayon through operating system, then from operating system to micro instruction to the center, which is the hardware or the pinaka-sentro, no? Central processing unit. Okay? So, next. So, methods of implementation, we have compilation, pure interpretation, hybrid interpretation. Ano yung pagkakaiba ng tatlo? So, compilation process, space, source code is translated into equivalent machine code as a unit and is stored into a file that has to be executed in a separate state o separate step. So, ito na yon. Lexical analysis, extract a sequence of token or lexical units from source code. The symbol table contains the definition of the identifier, syntax analysis, parsing, transform tokens, lexical units into parse trees, which represent the syntactic structure of program. Then move to semantic analysis, generated intermediate code, then code generation, machine code is generated. So that is how compilation process been done. Paano nangyayari? Next, pure interpretation process or pure interpretation source code is translated to machine code and executed immediately. Advantage, runtime errors can repair source level units such as array index out of bound error. Disadvantage, 10 to 100 times slower execution time. Open requires more space. Significant comeback with some web scripting language. O sa web naman to. Kasi hindi siya gumagamit ng compiler. Example, JavaScript or PHP. So, pure interpretation process. So, here is the illustration. Yan, yung nakikita nyo yan. Okay, next is hybrid implementation. So, hybrid implementation, a compromise between compilers and pure interpreters. So, pinagsamang compilation or compiler at interpreter. A high-level language program is translated to an intermediate language that allows easy interpretation. Faster than pure interpretation since source language statement decoded only once. Example, Perl. Programs are partially compiled to detect errors before interpretation. So, just-in-time system compiles intermediate languages methods into machine code when they are initially called. the machine code is kept so that if they are called again, the code does not have to be reinterpreted. So Java. Okay? So questions about this? The methods of compilation, methods of implementation, we have compilation, pure interpretation, hybrid interpretation. Okay? So move tayo. After ng hybrid, additional compilation terminologies, we have linking and loading. So the process of collecting system program units and linking them to a user program. We have also the word load module or executable image, the user and system code together. The preprocessor macros or instruction are commonly used to specify that code from another file is to be included. A preprocessor processes a program immediately before the program is compiled to expand embedded preprocessor macros. A well-known example is C preprocessor expand. Example hashtag includes hashtag define and similar macros. Okay? So, malinaw. Is it clear? These terminologies. Next. Programming environments. This is I think the last part of our topic. So the collection of tools used in software development. We have simple, file, system, text editor, compiler, interpreter, or linker. Extensive, rich set of tools. So Borland JBuilder, integrated development environment for Java. And Microsoft Visual Studio.net, a large complex visual environment used to program in C#, Visual Basic.net, script, J#, and C++. Meron pa tayong IDE, na mga ginagamit. Meron pa tayong mga PyCharm. So, yan yung mga programming environments na pwede natin gamitin to use and to work on with different programming languages. Okay? So, thank you very much. I think I have here some review questions. So, number one, what are the reasons why we need to study programming languages? Number two, what are the programming domains? Number two, what is compilation? Number four, what are the different programming paradigm? What is pure interpretation? What is hybrid pure interpretation? What are the bases of compilation? What are the things that influence the language design? And explain the different languages categories or different language categories. What are the tools used in software development? So these are the review questions that you need to submit to me, and how you will do that, how you will submit it, that is in the next slide. So this is the next. So write your answers in Microsoft Word. So layout, letter 8.5 by 11, font Arial, font size 12, margins all 0.5 inches. So, lahat ng margins ay 0.5. So, spacing natin is single. And save it in a PDF format. Example, Juan de la Cruz, review 1.pdf. So, Juan de la Cruz is your complete name. Represent your complete name. Huwag yung gagayahin to. Baka ito ang gayahin yung file name. Complete name nyo yan. And then, PDF format. That PDF. So, save that as PDF format. And send it to this email, mihasa03@gmail.com. And email it. So, yung subject ng email natin, answer in review question number 1. So, itatype nyo dun sa body ng inyong email, your full name, course year and section, and then date submitted. So, thank you very much for your time and for viewing this video about our topic, Chapter 1. And hopefully you understand everything about this topic based on my discussion. And of course, thank you very much. So keep safe everyone, and make sure that you like, subscribe, and of course share it to your classmate. Okay, thank you and good morning. Sa panggabi, good evening.